Growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 79.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host, who has a love-hate relationship with writing books, Pat Flynn.
While DIY website tools are everywhere, most fall short on design and performance. Hit publish. Framer ships your site worldwide in seconds. No code, no compromises. Framer is a powerful, user-friendly platform that delivers developer-level results without writing a single line of code. Make your designs move and convert with Framer. Framer brings your site to life with powerful animations, dynamic content handling, and a design-first approach that helps your site stand out. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. Browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something of your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, scroll and looping animations, and much more in seconds. And it's free to start. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting of generating starter layouts and can even translate your entire site to any language. On the back end, you'll get responsive breakpoints, built-in hosting, a flexible CMS, and privacy-friendly analytics. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Running a business means legal questions are inevitable. Is this contract or agreement solid? What can I do if a client won't pay me? Am I set up properly for taxes? Well, rather than trying to navigate all of this on your own or searching endlessly online, imagine having a law firm on your side without the high hourly rates. That's exactly what Legal Shield's small business plans offer. With Legal Shield, entrepreneurs get access to real legal support, contract reviews, collection letters, guidance on business formation, and even help handling IRS audits. Members can book consultations, upload documents through the app, and work with a provider law firm that understands small business laws in your state. You also get proactive help on tax and trademark questions so you can stay ahead of legal risks. And if a client delays payment, Legal Shield can send professional collection letters to help you recover what you're owed, all for a fraction of what traditional attorneys charge. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Hey, what's up? This is Pat Flynn, and welcome to session 79 of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have a special treat for you. We're going to do something that we've never, ever done before, and I don't think any other podcasters have ever done this before. We're actually going to time travel. We are going to hop in the DeLorean and do some time traveling today. And let me talk about what that means really quick. Our special guest today, Jeff Goins from GoinsWriter.com. He's an incredibly successful author. He's a blogger. He's done some amazing things on the Kindle platform and more recently, traditionally published books. And I brought him on the show and I recorded a session with him on April 30th. Right now, just so you know, for those of you listening in the future, it is currently September 4th. The first half of this session that you're about to listen to was recorded April 30th. I had just come out with my book, Let Go, and I brought Jeff on board to talk about some strategies that I could do, that I could actually use, and of course all of us too, to better promote my book, to take the book that I just published, or anybody who's about to publish a book, and take the marketing and just get it in the eyes and in the hands of more people. And we talked a bunch of strategies that you're about to listen to, and we decided, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and try to execute these, and then we'll have Jeff come back on in the future. And the next time, or the second half of this recording, was actually done less than a month ago, after I had implemented a lot of the things that Jeff taught me and told me to implement. And Jeff kind of critiques me. He talks about the things that I did correctly, things that I did better than expected, or above and beyond, and things that I could have improved on, and things that I could have done better. So, no matter what, this is going to help you out. It's going to be pretty cool. So again, the first half of this with Jeff, marketing strategies for better marketing your book, whether it's a Kindle book or a traditionally published book, whatever, strategies to help you do that. And then we'll sort of break in the middle, and I'll come back on and just be like, or whatever, to signify that that's when we are actually in the DeLorean doing some time travel. And if you don't know that reference, we need to talk. But and then the second half is Jeff coming on again less than a month ago, to talk about how all that went. So let's get right into it. Let's get into the first half with Jeff, and I'm really happy to introduce him to you. Again, this is Jeff from GoinsWriter.com, and I hope you enjoy the space-time continuum here. Hey, Jeff, what's up? Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast. How are you?
Hey, Pat. Good. How are you?
I am so excited because you're on the show and you're an experienced author, and you're going to help me sort of with the promotion of my book, Let Go. And as many of the people in my audience know, it's been out for quite a while now, but it's interesting because at the time of this recording, you're going to give me some great advice based on your experience, and you've helped other people really take their Amazon Kindle books and just even regular books on Amazon to the next level. And then what we're going to do for those of you listening is about halfway through, maybe 30 minutes into this interview, I'm going to cut. And what's going to happen is, a few weeks are going to go by super fast. I'm going to implement the strategies that Jeff sort of shares with us. And I'm going to come back on the second half with Jeff at the end of this podcast to talk about sort of the results of that implementation. So this is the first time I've done this. We'll see what happens. But before we get to the strategies, Jeff, I want to know more about who you are. I want you to introduce yourself to the SPI audience and sort of just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Pat. And, I just wanted to say that this episode is, brought to you by Back to the Future.
Yes, dude.
And,
awesome.
Yeah. A DeLorean store near you. So I'm a blogger, and I am a writer. I blog at GoinsWriter.com. And in 2011, after about 5 years of starting lots of different blogs and never seeing anything take off, I decided to start over and really focus and try to do things right. And I'd done a lot of things wrong that I didn't know I was doing wrong at the time, just in terms of best practices. But, I was doing things that, a lot of your audience probably takes for granted, things like guest posting, just, networking, connecting with the right people, writing not just good content, but stuff that is epic, that you just pour your heart and soul into. And so by making a few of those shifts, I started to see a pretty big response in a short amount of time. And one of the things that I did was I decided to focus on the topic of writing, which I've been doing my whole life, and I've been training and teaching and coaching writers professionally for a while. But I hadn't really publicly made that my platform, and so I started doing that, and I saw that really resonated with people. So in addition to being an author myself and writing and publishing books and speaking and doing that whole thing online, a lot of what I do is help other writers and aspiring authors succeed in areas where they may not have had success yet.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. And Jeff and I actually met in person fairly recently, this past February of 2013 at Michael Hyatt's Platform Conference. And I remember going to the speaker sort of dinner before the event was going to happen and getting lost. And I called Jeff up and I was like, dude, I'm lost. And he directed me to where to go. And he was the first person I met at this conference, and just right at that moment, I knew Jeff was just such an awesome guy. So we got a really great guest on the show today. Now, how many books have you published? Where are they at? And how are they doing right now?
Yeah, well, good question. Not a ton, and I want to sort of preface this by saying, I am a student, and so I want to share things that I've observed other people doing, and things that I have tried to apply to, my own works, but also helped other people do the same thing with their stuff. So I have written. It's kind of hard with the whole ebook thing because, I don't know what exactly counts as a book. Mm-hmm. But I have written 3 books, and 2 of those are traditionally published books. One of which will come out later this year, August 2013, and the book I wrote and published last year is called Wrecked, and that came out in August of 2012. And a few months before that, I self-published an ebook called You Are a Writer, which was a short, less than 20,000 word book about just my process of building a platform, owning the title of writer, which is something I found that a lot of writers don't want to do. They say that they're somebody who writes, or they use words like aspiring or wannabe. So I wrote a book about the importance of that declaration, really believing that you are a writer before you begin to write. And it was really through the launch of that ebook, which I knew nothing about, and my only goal with that was to share a message that I thought might resonate. And really, it was to my wife wouldn't have to go back to work after she had our son, because she was pregnant and about to have him at the time that was published. And so we succeeded in that, much to my amazement. I didn't realize that you could make decent money off of an ebook and impact a lot of people's lives in the process. And so a lot of the things that we're going to talk about, I learned through the launch of that ebook, and then I've applied it to some of the other things that I've worked on and helped lots of other people, do the same thing.
Awesome. Yeah, what I appreciate about you, Jeff, is that you're always looking to help as many people as possible, whether that's through work of your own or work through other people, and allowing them to kind of understand how you can help them do that. And so that's why I'm really excited to have you on today. You had told me earlier today, actually, that you really resonated with the message in Let Go, and felt like more people should be reading something like this. And so you are here to help me get more people to read it and get it out there. How can we do that?
Great question. So I think it'll be best if we sort of talk back and forth and drill down in the areas that you want to drill down into. And so let me just begin by saying, Pat, that you've done a lot of things right. A lot of the things that people talk about kind of at the surface level, but a really important level, meaning the things that people see. So, for example, you have a great cover for Let Go, which is really important. As anybody who's scrolling on their iPhone or even, on a laptop screen, when you're looking at books, when you're browsing books that you might buy, that they're usually appearing as thumbnails or small images, and so if it doesn't catch your attention, you're going to miss over that. So I don't want to talk about a bunch of those things that I think are a little bit more commonplace knowledge than some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. I really want to talk about the marketing mechanics of how to launch a book well, and you can apply this the day your book comes out, the day you submit it to Amazon, and then you get that email. They say it takes 48 hours, but it usually happens in like 12 to 24 hours. I don't know what your experience was like, but it happens
it was less than 12.
Yeah, it's really quick. Contrast that with Barnes & Noble, and it might take you a week to get your book on there. That was my experience, which was just odd. But you can do this at any time, which is something that we talked about earlier today. You said, is it too late? And no, it's not too late. In fact, you've built a lot of momentum already with Let Go, and I hope that some of these strategies kind of help push it into the next stratosphere. So you can do this at any time. I've had friends who've had books out for an entire year, but have never really sold as much as they'd like. They start applying some of these principles, and things start to take off. So there are a few strategies that I recommend and I use in every book launch, every product launch really that I do. But this will be obviously for books. And what I've learned here is not just stuff that really doesn't belong to me. These are ideas that I've kind of stolen from lots of different people, including Tim Ferriss and Michael Hyatt and Dan Pink and a number of much more bigger deal authors than me. But I've applied those ideas and seen them work in their own little respective microcosms. And so I think the cool thing about these strategies is it's not just for people who have giant platforms or tiny ones. If you use these strategies, they will work. So the first thing that I want to talk about with you is a launch team. Because when I saw you talk about that you were going to do a Kindle book, which is something that we've been talking about as friends for a while, I saw that you were doing this thing on Facebook, and it started to grow really quickly. You had hundreds of people, and then you had thousands of people in this open Facebook group where you were going to talk about your process of launching your book.
Right.
And I knew that was really powerful because when I launched my traditionally published book, I had a small Facebook group of 100 people that I basically invited them to what you invited them into, which is watch me launch this book, and I'll share all my secrets with you. Just those 100 people created enough, groundswell, and they became my street team that the book sold within a matter of the first month. It sold over 10,000 copies, and within a matter of a couple of months, it sold over 20,000 copies. It ranked up as highly as like number 18 on the Amazon bestsellers list in all categories. It was number 1 in all of its categories, but out of all books, it was number 18 on Amazon.com. All because of those 100 people. So when I saw Pat Flynn have, I don't know how many people are in that Facebook group now, 2,000 or something.
If you go to patsfirstbook.com, that'll redirect you to that sort of private Facebook group. You'll see there at the time of this recording, there's 3,367 members.
Ridiculous. Just out of this world. Amazing. But I don't think that right now, that at the time of this recording, which feels very Back to the Future to say, I think that is an asset that is being underutilized. And so the first asset of really launching a book is to get a small group of people, and small is relative. For Pat Flynn, it's apparently 3,000 people. For me, it's 100. For you, it might be 10. It doesn't matter. It's just kind of a piece, a segment of your tribe. And you basically want to make a deal with them. You want to say, hey, I'm going to give away X copies, X number of copies of my book in exchange for reviews and you kind of going and telling people about this. I think 100 is a good number because it allows you to give away, a set number of books, but it also allows you to, manage that many relationships.
Right.
And so something that you could do, Pat, which I talked to you about earlier today, was you can pick a handful of people, or you can just say, hey guys, I'm doing this thing where the first 100 people who email me are going to get a free copy of my ebook, and maybe throw in some other goodies. I like to really reward these people who are going to help you. And so maybe a $2.99 or $3.99 ebook file is not enough. Maybe they get access to a special webinar or something, or just a phone call with you at the end of it. I don't know, but you want to really reward them. And so you want to give them a free copy of your book, and you want to give them access to you. And if you do those two things, you're going to get a pretty good response. And you can kind of determine who you want on your team and who you don't want. But it's nice to make it exclusive, because that way you can make it special and you can manage those relationships. So let's say it's 100. And so you do a launch team of 100 people. And basically what you want to do is you want to give them the book and then give them a deadline and say, I need you to read this in the next week or two. And preferably this happens before your book launches or before a big promotion. And there are two reasons that you want to do this. The first reason is you want to accumulate a lot of reviews in a short amount of time. Why? Because anybody who searches Amazon.com for anything knows that a lot of positive reviews means that if you're not sure about the product, you feel more at ease about the product and you're going to buy it. And that's definitely true for books. And maybe I'm just, biased as an author, but if a book doesn't have a lot of reviews, I tend to discredit it. And, I know that's not entirely fair, but to me, that's the social proof for books on Amazon.com, the most popular, book selling site in the world. And so if you don't have a lot of people talking about you there in the form of reviews, I kind of go like, what's wrong with you? And I believe that a lot of people think that way because I've seen the response when I launched my ebook and I was nobody, and I got over 100 5-star reviews up on the site within the week that it had launched. Many of which got up before the book came out, which is something that people don't realize, that you can set the book to publish, say, in 2 weeks from now, and a few days before the book is live, people can go and leave reviews of it. And the other cool thing about it, if that's too complicated for you, if you're publishing on Amazon, you kind of decide when you want to start promoting it. So you could publish your book, 2 years ago, but nobody ever knew about it, and then you could decide, or 2 weeks ago, let's say, and then you decide this is the date that I'm going to go live and tell everybody about it. So you could send the book out to 100 people, and this can be a paperback or, like in your case, Pat, it's just your ebook. So send them the ebook and then give them a deadline and then review. And you can do this even if you don't buy something on Amazon. You can leave a review of a product, and you're technically supposed to disclose that this was given to you as a review copy. Some people don't, but there's nothing wrong or unethical about giving people a free copy of your book and telling them to leave you an honest review. And in a lot of cases, it's really helpful if not everybody gives you a 5-star review. If a few people give you a good, honest 3 and 4-star review, because I'll still buy a 3-star, I'll still buy a product that's got some 3-star reviews if, that helps me better understand who this product is for, and I can go, okay, this is definitely for me, or it's not for me. And that was something that I made sure of when I launched my second book. Was I want some 3-star reviews. If you think it's a 3-star product or 4-star book, be honest with me and say why, and say who this might not be for. And some people did that, and I was really grateful for that because it helped me, help the book find the right audience. So that's the first reason you want to get reviews, is because it's great social proof. The second reason is because somehow, magically, and I say magically because I don't know, much like I don't know how Google works, but I know that there's an algorithm, which is a very long, math equation apparently, that, I just didn't go that far in math to really understand what any of this means. All I know is it's a math problem. And it is complicated, and they don't want you to know what it is. The same thing is true for Amazon and how they rank books. And one of the factors in the algorithm, and there are a number of factors, and we can talk about those, but one of the big factors is reviews. And so I don't know if you realize this. You probably know this, Pat, but Amazon.com is one of the largest search engines in the world. And I think you hear a lot of people say, "Hey, what's the largest search engine?" Google. What's the second largest? YouTube. And everyone goes, "Oh my gosh, video is so amazing." But what's the largest paid search engine in the world? It's Amazon. I mean, it is the prominent search engine where people have their credit cards out ready to buy. People aren't Amazoning things just to I want free advice. I want free videos. I want free books. I mean, you can get free books for sure, but people are ready to buy on Amazon. You are shopping. You're not just looking. You're shopping. So if you can figure out how to rank highly when people are searching for books, searching for books about technology or Web 2.0. Or how to raise kids in the suburbs or whatever it might be, you want to rank highly for those things. And one of the factors in where you rank is your reviews, how many you have, what people say about you, and how positive they are. Because Amazon is not going to refer a product that isn't being reviewed well to somebody who's searching for a product that would solve that problem. So one of the ways that you get into Amazon's wonderful referral engine, and again, it's magic, so nobody has cracked the code, but this is one of the factors in it, is you get a lot of people to leave you honest reviews, and if you've written a good book, some of that honesty will be positive feedback. Plus, if you're working with people who already like you, chances are that they're going to be pretty kind to you, and if they're not, well, then that's okay too.
Right. Okay. Just to recap everything we just talked about, because this is all really important, awesome information. So we're still in the first strategy, which is sort of building that launch team. And that's really important because we can only do so much ourselves. It's a great way to get other people who we wouldn't have been able to reach otherwise to find and discover our book. And I do have this Facebook group that I created. And again, you can find it at patsfirstbook.com with over 3,000 members. And you're right, I totally have underutilized this amazing resource that I've created. I mean, I've shared a lot of what has been happening with the book and the progress of it. I've announced when the book came out on the Snippet app platform and then on Amazon. And, people are commenting, people are doing thumbs up, but I haven't really tapped into this resource yet and asked them to do something for me besides pick up the book if they haven't gotten it already. And I really like the idea of giving something to them in return for a review, an honest review. And that was actually one of the questions I had, but you had answered it already. Is it okay to incentivize people with giving them a free book to get a review? Now, my question is, as far as the Amazon Kindle version, how would I give away a free copy to a single person?
Yeah, so great question. So depending on how you format the book and upload it, that depends. But Kindle will take any format, basically any form of the file of the manuscript that you have, and they will convert it into the appropriate file format for their devices.
Right.
I mean, you can literally upload a Word document and they'll format it for you. I don't recommend doing that because things get kind of wonky, and it's super cheap to pay somebody $100 or a few $100 to format it and make sure all of your subheads look good and your table of contents looks good. And I mean, you can spend a lot of money on this. But it's not, it's a pretty cost-effective investment to make it look exactly how you want instead of just kind of, throwing it to caution, throwing caution to the wind. I think that's the phrase. I'm a writer. I should know these things. Yeah, I mean, you can.
Do I send them?
You can totally do that. So yeah, you can send them. You can send them whatever you have. But what I send people is whatever device you have, I'll format it for you. And so I mean, you can send them the PDF. I mean, you should have a PDF version of your Word document or wherever you wrote the file on. You can send it as a MOBI. I mean, that's kind of the most .mobi. That's probably the most common Kindle format. There's also a PRC. There's a number of file formats, but anybody, even without a Kindle, can read a Kindle book, which is probably something that you may have encountered already, Pat, as people go, well, I don't have a Kindle, so I can't read it, or I don't have this Snippet app, so I can't read it. And Anybody with a computer or a smartphone can download a Kindle app and read it, no problem. And so you just want to, let your launch team know anybody can read this on any device, but I'll send it to you as a PDF and a Mobi, and you can read it and then, leave your review. And I think the best way to do that is to build a separate small email list where you get 100 to 250 people is a good range of people. And what I've seen is about half of the people will respond in the allotted time that you've given them. And I don't really track it after that. But so if you want 50 reviews, you need a launch team of about 100 people. And if you give them, about 2 weeks, they're going to read it and leave a review if they're, responsive and you're engaged with them. And if you want more, you should kind of bring more people in. But certainly there's a point of diminishing returns where you've got thousands of people and people just kind of feel like, they're not a significant part of this team. So I do think it's important to keep it small and nimble and that sort of thing. But yeah, you want a team, first and foremost, to leave you reviews, because reviews for authors are gold. I mean, they are great social proof. And for the amount of books that you've sold, Pat, you should have 100 reviews, and for the level that you're at as an author, as a blogger, as somebody who has a lot of influence, when I look at 40 reviews or whatever's on there right now, I go, that's nice, but all the people that have big time book launches, I
want 1,000.
Yeah, you like the Hunger Games. I
want to write the next Hunger Games.
Yeah, you should.
I have. It's called no, I'm just kidding. So, besides the reviews, does the launch even do anything else? Do I ask them to share?
Yeah. So what I would ask them to do is leave a review. I mean, what's typical to do is to ask them to leave a review the week the book comes out, or whenever you want to, do this. So ask them to leave a review, and then tell people about it. And so I think the cool thing about your tribe, and my tribe is this way too, is a lot of people are bloggers, right? A lot of people are doing stuff online. And so you can do what Tim Ferriss does, where basically you make yourself available to a team of bloggers, a limited team of, about 100 people maybe. Could be less. Don't shoot the moon and, try to do 1,000 because that's hard to do. Mm-hmm. But you can manage 100 relationships pretty easily. And so you should encourage them to tell everybody that they know about the book. And I would just kind of, if you've already launched a book, I would say this is the week that we're going to do this promotion, because one of the things that you're trying to do is you're trying to sell a lot of copies in a book in a short amount of time, because when you do that, it pushes the book up the bestsellers rank on Amazon, and Amazon updates their bestsellers lists, and they have multiple lists for lots of different categories, but they also have their main list for Amazon.com. And that's updated hourly. And so if you can sell, in theory, if you could sell enough books in an hour, you could become number one. And, that's a matter of thousands of books. But if you sell a few hundred to 1,000 books in a day, you can break into the top 100. And once you do that, some really cool stuff starts happening, because apparently people watch those lists, and Barnes & Noble is watching, Amazon.com. And so if you've got your book on both of those sites, they can sometimes, battle each other out. But once you break into the top 100, interesting stuff starts happening, and you start reaching more people, because all of a sudden you're on all of these bestsellers lists that people are watching, and they're going, wow, if this book is that popular, I'm going to buy it. And it can become this snowball of momentum. And so you can use the launch team to help create some of that momentum initially by leaving reviews. And then, if you've got a team of bloggers or just people that are, social media savvy, tell them to tweet about it, Facebook about it, and write a blog post. As Tim Ferriss does, you could say, hey, I'm going to do an interview with anybody who wants to talk about the book on their blog, and I'll link to it from my blog. And, huge. You and I were both a part of Tim Ferriss's book launch, and it's awesome to get linked to from Tim Ferriss, but it's also great to be a part of that, to be included in that and get to interview him. And it's great for him too. And that's one of the ways that he's really built this. He is the king of book launches, and that was his marketing strategy for the 4-Hour Workweek was become friends with a bunch of bloggers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those of you who remember episode 51 of the Smart Passive Income podcast, we had Tim Ferriss on, and he talked exactly about how he did that, how he came from nothing to just top author in what almost seemed like magic. And that's exactly how he did it. Okay, great. So launch team, yeah, definitely. I mean, I've underutilized that group, and even my audience here on the podcast and those who are reading my blog and on my YouTube channel. And it's really cool to know that I've sold, 3,500 to 4,000 copies with just sort of a, quote, soft launch, mentioning it here and there and having, a few people help spread the word. I've had reviews on other sites already without me even asking. I have 47. At the moment of this recording, there are 47 reviews on Amazon. In case you're listening to this in the future, you can go and see how much that has improved or maybe didn't. But just to give you some perspective of where we're at now. So it's cool that all that stuff happened and I sold that many books without doing too much work. I mean, that speaks the power of also just having a platform, before writing a book. But let's move on to the next sort of strategy. So after the launch team, what else can we do?
So yeah, great question. So the next thing that you can do, and a lot of these things sort of happen concurrently, they're happening in tandem. You're building your launch team, and then you're doing this thing, and you're doing that thing, and you're staying engaged with your launch team. You really want them to feel like they get special access to you. And if you do that well, they're going to tell everybody about it. And I don't care if they've got 5 followers on Twitter. If you've got 100 people that are crazy excited about this book, people are going to hear about it. And what I have seen in most cases is the people that may have smaller platforms who feel like you're doing them a favor, including them in this team. Those are the really valuable people that you want, because they're going to work really hard to spread the message of your book. So the second thing that I would recommend, and this works best at a book launch, but it would be interesting to talk about how we might be able to do something for your book, Pat, and see how we could retrofit it. But a great thing to do, a time-tested thing to do, especially among business authors, is for a limited amount of time, and this could be a week to a couple of weeks to probably no longer than a month, you offer an incentive for everybody who buys your book within a given amount of time. And the typical amount of time is about a week. And so this is an old business author trick to get on the bestsellers list. And it could be the Amazon bestsellers list or the New York Times bestsellers list, what have you. And if you've seen Tim Ferriss or Michael Hyatt launch one of their books recently, you'll see that when their book comes out, they said, if you buy my book within this time, you can submit your receipt here, which you can scan or just forward the email receipt or whatever form it's in, forward it to this email address, and you're going to get all of these things for free. And so in the case of Michael Hyatt and his book Platform, which became a New York Times bestseller the first week it came out, using this strategy, he gave away over like $150 worth of free products, including his 2 ebooks, a discount on a course that he was having come out, a number of other things, a $20 video product, just a bunch of digital products that didn't cost him anything except the opportunity cost to give those things away. And it was such a no-brainer deal. I mean, it was such a good deal that people go, man, would I pay $20 to get, over $150 worth of stuff from this guy that I really respect? Yeah, absolutely. And so enough people took that risk that it allowed Mike to, become, write a bestseller, an immediate bestseller the first week it came out.
Nice. And that's all what Michael did was all digital stuff. So he didn't even have to do any work to kind of ship all those things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you submit your email, you confirm your email, and what you're actually doing is you're opting into a list, and they're confirming your receipt, and then they give you access to all of these digital goodies. So I mean, it's instant access, which is really cool, because all of a sudden you just bought this ebook and now you get all this free stuff. I did this with my book, and if you bought the paperback copy of my book, Wrecked, and you submitted your receipt the week it came out, you automatically got access to the audiobook, to the ebook, and to all this other stuff I was giving away. And so you could start reading the book right now, even if you bought the paperback book and you had to wait, 5 days or whatever for Amazon to send it to you. So, I mean, that's another cool thing is you should include the digital copy or the audio, any other versions of the book that you have so that people have, full access to the whole product. Now, if you're working with a publisher or, say you're working with Snippet and you're trying, you've got different partners who may have certain barriers. You want to get everybody's permission. You don't want to be, giving away files that you don't have the right to give away. But provided that you have that permission, it's great. And I think it's good to have a no-brainer opportunity where this is something that your audience wants, and you just want to give them an incentive to buy. And one way is to think of it as an incentive. I actually prefer to think of it as a reward. You want to reward your early adopters instead of giving people reason to say, I'm going to wait and see if it goes on sale. Do the opposite. Give them a no-brainer, great opportunity to buy now. And so that's this second thing that you can do, and it really happens in tandem with your building your book launch team. But
love it.
Yeah, I mean, an example of what Ferris did was he said, hey, buy 3 copies of this book. I think it was 3. And email the receipt here. Buy one for the 4-Hour Chef. Buy one for your friend, and one for you and one for your mom or something. And then submit your receipt here, and you will get access to an exclusive webinar where I will answer any question that you have, which is huge for Tim Ferriss to do because so many people want his attention and can't get it. He blogs once or twice a month, and he isn't very accessible. And if he is accessible, it's expensive, to go spend time with him. So to have personal access to him to get your questions answered is huge. A lot of people, I'm sure, took up that offer. So you can do that sort of thing, and you can do it within the confinements of a week or something, or you can do what Guy Kawasaki is doing with his book Ape, which is a self-published book. And if he's doing these webinars, and I participated in one not too long ago where he did a webinar. And then at the end of the webinar, he said, if you want to buy a copy of my book, go here, buy a copy, email the receipt here within the next week, and I will send you this exclusive audio recording that you can't get anywhere else where I answer all these questions talking about the self-publishing process. And so what he's doing is he's doing a bunch of mini launches because he's partnering with bloggers with large audiences, and he's doing a webinar. And then at the end of that, they're doing another mini launch. And so he's got this long tail of sales. Even though his book came out several months ago, he's continuing to sell a lot of copies because he's basically doing these little mini launch incentives to these various communities. So the point is you want to reward people who are going to buy now, and a lot of people, particularly with books, are going to go, I'll do that later. And you just want to help them not do that, because if they say they're going to do that later, they may never come back to your book or go back to that Amazon page, or 6 months might go by before they buy the book. And you want them to get your message now because it's that important.
Awesome. Love it. Great tips. So create a limited time offer, a reward for everyone who buys the book now. God, awesome. And that will be interesting to see how I might be able to brainstorm a way to do that now that the book's been out for a couple weeks. So what else you got, Jeff? This is awesome stuff. Do you have any more tips for us?
I got one more thing, and then we can kind of talk about just some random ideas. But there's one other thing that I do with a self-published launch, and it's I don't know. You might have like mixed feelings about it, but what I do is I raise the price. After a certain amount of time, I raise the price, and so what I'm really doing is a couple of things. One, there is in the marketing world. People understand that if you create urgency, that builds demand, and so people will buy something now, so that they can save money later. And so that's why you see people sort of abusing this, tactic on infomercials where they say, buy in the next 37 seconds, and we're going to cure all of your warts or something, or this is an exclusive offer and it's going away and you're never going to get it, and your grandmother's going to die tomorrow. Like they use
what
fear.
channel are you watching?
I don't know, man. It's a dark world that I live in. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to use fear of loss to get you to buy something now. But what I do anytime I launch a product, even an ebook, is I go, what do I really want to charge for this? And how can I, again, reward my tribe by giving them the best deal now? So instead of them saying, I'm going to wait for it to go on sale, I just reverse that. Instead of starting high and going low, I start low and go high, which, I think is it's a well-practiced way to launch products online. And you can do that with an ebook. You can come out, $4.99 is still very affordable price for an ebook, and you can say for the first week or two, I'm going to discount this at $2.99 because I want everybody to have it, and I don't want you to, have an excuse to not get it. And it's going to go up to its normal price, after a week or a month or whatever you want to do, but keep it limited, and that will cause people to buy it now, even if it means they read it later. And so what you want to do is you want to ensure that your audience is getting the best deal possible. Similar to the incentive, you're just trying to reward your tribe, trying to give them a no-brainer opportunity to get this book now, and you're trying to fight that inner voice that says, I'll do this later. And so you're giving them you're rewarding them, and then you're telling them it's better to buy now than it is to buy later. Don't wait, because this is the best price for you to get it. That's not something that you have to do, but it certainly it can help, and I think it's another great way to reward your audience.
Awesome. That's really interesting. You don't worry about people later who might have missed getting the book at the lower price coming back to you, like, oh man, like I just missed it. Can you lower the price for me?
No, I don't worry about that, because the fact is prices fluctuate all the time, and I would rather start low and go high than start high and go low. The last thing I want is for me to have a $10 book and then knock it. This happens all the time, and then knock it down to a super low price after people have stopped buying, and then basically tell all of the early adopters, like, hey, thanks. It's awesome that you listen to me before everybody else does, but everybody else that wasn't paying attention, I'm going to give them a better deal. How does that feel?
Yeah, that's so cool.
No, I mean, like it's about being true to your tribe, and if somebody comes to me and says, hey, can I have this better deal or whatever? Like, at the end of the day, for me, a book is about spreading an idea. It's about getting that idea into people's hands. And if somebody can't afford my ebook, I will send it to them for free. If it's a self-published thing and I have all of the rights to it, I'll give it to them for free. Or, to me, it's not a big deal. What's important is getting the idea out there. But the cool thing is, enough people are willing to pay for an ebook, and ebooks are not that expensive now. I mean, they used to be hundreds of dollars. Remember when you paid for a $99 PDF online?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be ridiculous to do on Amazon. So they're great ways for people to consume important content that will help them. And I'm just trying to get that out to as many people as possible. But you can make some money doing it as well.
Awesome tips, Jeff. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to share this audio file, the first half of it or the first 2/3 of it, before I implement these strategies with my team, my LECO team, Matt Gartland and Caleb Wojcik, who, we're all going to get together and brainstorm how we can implement these things. And then you and I will get back together in the future. We'll take our DeLorean and we will talk about everything that happened, maybe stuff I did right, and the new numbers and how many sales I've gotten, more reviews, how far I climbed or how high I climbed up in the rankings, or maybe what I didn't do right, or maybe I could have done better. Either way, I think people who are listening to this are going to learn a lot. And, before I let you go, I see what I did there. Sorry, that was dumb.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I'll probably edit that out, but probably not. You said you had a couple more, other cool maybe tricks or cards up your sleeve as far as book promotions.
Yeah. So consider just random things that you can do that are remarkable. Notice how when Seth Godin launches a book, he does something different every time, and I mean, that's an old Seth Godin purple cow, idea that in order for you to stand out, you have to do something remarkable. And so something that I would encourage you to do is some sort of publicity stunt. And this doesn't have to mean that the New York Times is knocking on your door, although that wouldn't be, out of the question for you, Pat. But do something that gets you noticed. Do something weird. Do something remarkable. Do something like Seth did where he launched a book on Kickstarter. Like, seriously, Seth, you need money to write a book? But that wasn't the point. The point was to get attention, and it worked. And so do something remarkable. Do some sort of publicity stunt. And that could just be as simple as, I'm going to do a free call, where everybody can get access to me, and I'm going to answer all your questions, or I'm going to do a Google Hangout. I mean, it doesn't have to be super crazy over the top. It just has to be something different that people go, wow. And all you're trying to do is bring attention to this new thing that you have that maybe people have missed, instead of just pounding them with emails all the time.
Right. No, I like that. Maybe I can hold my breath underwater for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that would be good. And something else that I would, that I recommend is if there is a way for you to create conversations. So you're gonna have your launch team, and you're gonna have those people blogging about it, and you're gonna be available for interviews or reviews or whatever. But in addition to that, especially with your book, which is about a story, it's about a story and lessons that people can learn and glean from that. And anytime you have that, and I think almost every book has that. There's a story, there's something about it where people read it and they're going to relate to it, and they're hopefully going to be changed, or they want to go do something different with their life. Give those people an opportunity to share their story. So one of the things that I did with one of my books was I created a separate WordPress site where people could log in as a guest account, where anybody could log in and they could submit their stories, and then I, as the editor, got to approve or not disapprove those stories. And a lot of those stories got published on a website where people were able to tell their stories. It didn't have anything to do with my book, but it was about the theme of the book, and so people got to tell those stories on that website. I linked to those, shared those, and so it gave people an opportunity for their stories to be heard. And it was an interesting way to get people talking about the book and thinking about it, and they're going to go read those stories, and on that story there's a picture and a link to the book. And so it does help create a little bit of a movement. It creates some buzz around the book, and it's not just the static thing that people buy. It's this living story that people are participating in, and it's speaking to them, and they're getting to be a part of it in some way. And it's just another cool way to build some community.
Very cool. Love it.
Well, that is all I got.
All right, sweet. We made it to the middle of the episode. We have stopped recording that first session, or the first part of this session. And so if you're listening to this and, that was a lot to take in, of course, you probably have pages of notes, especially if you're an author, an aspiring author. You are welcome to obviously pause this and do what you want, or, this is a rather long episode. A couple of our last recent episodes have been quite long, but that's just simply because I don't want to stop the content from flowing. It's typically people will ask me things like, oh, well, how long should my blog posts be? Or how long should my ebook be? Or how long should my course be? Well, it's as long as you need to get the information that you have, or whoever you're interviewing, out to the people who are going to benefit from it. And I hate putting a time limit on something. I hate putting a word cap on things, because I don't want that to affect the content that I need to be providing to my audience. And so let's just get right into it, because we have the second half coming up right now, and I had just implemented a number of these things, and we're going to talk about what happened after that. So let's get right into it. And we're back. We just time traveled 2 months exactly to the date, actually, I think. Jeff, how is the, a lot has happened in 2 months, but thank you for coming back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's fun to talk about this stuff, and it's not like fake time travel, like where we stopped the recording. I mean, it's actually been quite a while, so it's fun to look at what you've done with your book on the other side.
Yeah, and I'll tell you up front, I could have done things better, and it's going to be really interesting to go over sort of the strategy that I laid out based on some of the comments that you had that people just listened to, and I could talk about how everything went, and then I would love to hear your thoughts on because you were on the outside and you were sort of following along, and I appreciate that you sort of were just following along instead of just pinging me all the time on you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. Because it was a huge learning experience for me, and I think it'll be a huge learning experience for other people too. So I'd love to hear your opinion on everything I did right, of course. So start with that because it'll make me feel better. But also everything that I could have done better, and constructively criticize everything I did as much as you'd like. And then of course, within the past 2 months, within the last couple of weeks, actually, you just came out with a new book. Congratulations on that, and I'd love to help. Obviously, you've given away so much already. I want to help you promote it by talking about it here, but also beyond that, I want to help the listeners promote their own stuff in the future when they come out with books based on sort of how and the approach that you're taking it right now with it. So we'll get into that, but let me just talk briefly about what I did after this conversation that we had that people just listened to. So I outlined a plan, and I got together with a few people on my team who, were a part of the experience of building Let Go. And like people know, I had launched Let Go. It went really well. It got to #1 in small business and entrepreneurship on Amazon. After I launched it on Snippet app, and things were going good. But I was going to use this opportunity and all the advice you gave me to sort of relaunch it. So, to give it to share it with people who hadn't yet picked it up, to get people who were on the fence to buy it, and just to get more eyes on my brand, which was really the goal. And I think, that's really important to understand before we move on, is my goal here with Let Go wasn't to make a ton of money. It was to get the book in front of as many people as possible. And I think I accomplished that. I definitely saw a surge in the number of people who read my story or listened to it as a result of everything I did. However, I will say that I wasn't overly impressed with the numbers, and that was my fault. And I would love to hear sort of your perspective on things that happened. Well, what did I do? Of course, I went the ambassador route, which I think is the most powerful thing you can do. If you have a loyal set of followers, people who trust you, people who enjoy what you've shared with them before, they're going to be likely to share it with other people, and that's how things can almost spread virally. So I went to my Facebook page, my special Kindle Pat's First Book Facebook page, which had at the time about 3,600 people on it. And I messaged them and I said, hey, if you want to become an ambassador, if you they were kind of already ambassadors because they were a part of this, but I wanted to get the hot ambassadors out there, not like, hot, good looking. Everybody there is good looking, I think. But, the ones who were truly going to help me push this forward and put them onto an email list so I can communicate with those people specifically. And then the benefit of becoming an ambassador, and actually you can see the ambassador page if you go to patflynn.me/ambassadors. Actually, no, it's a little bit different. The one I had for the Facebook group had one additional thing than what's on patflynn.me/ambassadors. But you can go there, and that's where you can sign up to become an ambassador. And I share this with my Facebook page, and it says, would you like to help me make a difference? Because then, again, that was the purpose. And it shared a lot of free stuff that people were going to get as a result of being an ambassador. Insider updates on new projects, the ability to influence my decisions on certain things within new books and new things that I'm coming out with, fun marketing materials and special editions of unpublished things. And specifically for this group, I was also going to give them a bonus audio, which was the first half of this particular episode. So they're going to get that super early. And
cool.
So a lot of people actually downloaded that and listened to it. And I got a lot of emails from that saying it was extremely helpful. And it was cool to see that I was actually implementing that stuff as it was happening, as people were listening to it. So that was really cool. And that, just that part of it, being able to help them in that way, unrelated to Let Go, it was really cool. So again, thank you for agreeing to do this. So I got a lot of ambassadors to sign up. From the 3,600 people there, about 800 people signed up to become like a special ambassador, and they got that free stuff. And then on the blog, this was an idea that my editor Matt and I came up with. This was taking your advice to do something different, do something out of the box, do something special related to the book that you just published. And the idea we came up with, and it worked out perfectly, was to create what I called Let Go Day. And Let Go Day marked, it just happened that we were right and around the time of the 5-year anniversary of when I was laid off, or when I was told I was going to get laid off, which was a scenario that I shared in detail in the story, Let Go. So we wanted to create this Let Go Day, not only to celebrate, this amazing thing that happened in my life that at the time, seemed like the worst thing that could ever happen. I think just celebrating that in the first place, made a statement, and a lot of people mentioned that. But also, to create an event out of this and to give people a reason to think beyond just, oh, this is Pat's book, but what does this really mean? How is this actually going to affect me? And in turn, I hoped that it would get more people in front of the book and the story in front of more people. And what we did along with Let Go Day was we did a 2-hour live stream where people could come on. They can ask me questions. I did a lot of fun things like play the trumpet. I sang a little song. I brought guests on like Lewis Howes and Cliff Ravenscraft. My family came on who were featured in the book, and they came on and said a little hello to everybody live. And around 2,000 people came on to watch, which was amazing, and that was super cool. And I did see an increase in sales, but not as much as I hoped. And I think the reason is because in addition to sharing Let Go Day, I did a post a few days before Let Go Day to sort of build buzz to it. But on Let Go Day, I shared a bonus with people. And that bonus was only available that day, and that was the audiobook for free. And I think maybe that was a mistake. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But I had about 8,000 people download that audiobook for free. And those are 8,000 people who potentially could have purchased the book instead. And I was sort of taking your advice to, give something away on that event day and something additional to just the book. And I thought the audio guide was perfect because it was huge value. But people could get the same story listening to the audio versus reading the book. So I did accomplish my main goal, which was to get the story in front of more people. But I may have not done it in a way where it increased my Amazon rankings and got more sales. And, obviously I could have made more money, but again, that's not the point. So all that said, I would love to hear, your thoughts on the process, what you thought I could have done better, because you were there and watching this unfold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually taking a few notes so that it can be a little bit more organized than maybe our last conversation. Love to, lot to cover here.
Yeah.
I think it's helpful. I mean, I appreciate how you started that off, Pat. And as you were doing stuff, like I was learning from you. So I want to, affirm the fact that this was an experiment for you. And I love how generous you are to your community. I see Seth Godin doing the same thing where, once you've built a community, more than maximizing revenue, you want to do things that are interesting and helpful. And this is one of the reasons why I think Seth Godin never launches a book the same way twice. Mm-hmm. Typically, especially in the business world, you find something that works and you just keep doing that and you just keep cranking out bestsellers. But I think for some people, guys like you and me, where we're a little bit more creatively inclined, that's kind of boring. And so I think it is important to acknowledge that this was an experiment and you were willing to do some things differently. I think one of the big things that you did that was extremely unusual and unique was launching it on Snippet first, which is this, cool new app. And I mean, it's not even the structure of the book conformed to this new way of consuming content. And I think, like that in and of itself was interesting, and it was a cool opportunity for you to, teach your audience. Anyway, here are 3 things that I think you did really well. Cool. And we talked about this before. So get ready to get that self-esteem pumping.
Yeah, right before you tear it down, right?
First of all, man, you probably did the best job that I've ever seen building like a launch group for your book. And I don't know that you thought of it like that, but you, in fact, I kind of stole this idea with this last book that I launched in between these 2 conversations that we're having. I launched a book, and I saw something that you did that I'd been thinking about for a while, but I think I saw you were the first person to do it that I saw, which is you built a community before you had something to sell or share, and you said, hey, like while I'm doing this whole process, I'm going to share what I learn. And I always wanted to do that with a book, and it's really hard to do that because you have to have a lot of foresight. But the cool thing about what you did is, I mean, you built this very large Facebook community that was bought in, that wanted to help you, and you had built up a huge amount of reciprocity, which was in our last talk. I said, dude, you need to leverage that more. These people want to pay you back for this opportunity to connect and to learn from you. So I think you did a great job building a community of advocates and even drilling that down to your ambassador team. But that's the hardest thing to do. That's the thing that most people don't ever do. Most authors don't ever do. And you can see it, on their Amazon page. They have 3 reviews and, they never get past the 1,000 sales mark. Right. And because you built that community that was ready, they were, how many 1,000 people went to download this app, to purchase and download this app that they'd never used before and probably never heard about before you came around. I hadn't. And then to actually, buy your book. Those are pretty big asks, and you got a lot of people to do that, which is a huge win, in terms of just looking at the experiment.
Definitely. This is before the Let Go Day and that whole experiment. Yeah. This is when I first launched it. Right. And to speak highly of those, I mean, I all the ambassadors who are signed up, and everybody on that Facebook page, I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. What they also did for me was during the experiment and Let Go Day, a lot of them went to Amazon and left a review. And, I went from, I think you even told me beforehand, like, dude, you only have like 60 reviews. Like, I have more than you, and my audience isn't this big. So I shot up from like 60 to 200 in like a day.
Wow. Yeah, I was just looking at it. It's at like 222 now. Yeah, I was surprised by that, because I remember seeing like, man, this is Pat Flynn. He's got this huge blog. Where are all the reviews? So you just asked them? Is that what you did? I mean, how did you get them to do that?
Yeah, I just asked them and said, I also shared what it would do. So I think it's important to ask for help, but also what would that help do is really important to share. And what it would do is it would help the rankings. It would help increase the social proof of the book. And those are all things that people want to join in on, I think.
Yeah. I think that's true. And I think that we think that we have to be like sneaky or sly about it, or like not say the real reason. And I think when you tell people, look, like when you leave reviews, it will increase my ranking and we will sell more books and this message will spread. Like, you're going to help me. It's not just you like sending me a message telling me that you like the book. You're endorsing it for people to see, and that will affect buying decisions. So I think sharing the why is really, really smart. Anyway, I thought you did a great job building community.
Thank you.
Second thing you did really well was you created an event, and this happened after our last conversation. I remember talking to you about that, Pat, and I was speaking like metaphorically. I said, you should do an event. You should treat this like an event. and here you go, like create an entire day, Pat Flynn Day, not really, but Let Go Day. And I thought, man, it was brilliant. I was just like thinking like have everybody go buy the book on that day, or just push a bunch of people to Amazon all at the same time with an email or something. And you literally created an event. And I don't know if you've announced this or not, but I love the idea of maybe doing that annually.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen that done, and that gave me an idea for a project that I'm working on now. And I thought, man, that's a great idea. When you write something that people can connect with on an emotional level, it's cool to give them an opportunity to talk about it all at the same time. And you did that with Let Go Day,
right? I asked people to leave comments about their Let Go Day or sometime in their life that they had to let go on that launch blog post. And it was really funny today. Actually, I got an email from someone that said, where is it? It was so perfect. Even the headline. Let me see. Where is it? Today, this is an email from a subscriber. His name is Justin. His subject line was, "Today is my, quote, let go day. Thank you, Pat." So people are using this now as like a term in their daily lives or something to strive for. And I think that is so cool. I'm not exactly sure who came up originally with the idea for Let Go Day, but I got to give props to my team for making it happen for sure.
Well, I'll go ahead and take credit for that then.
Okay, cool.
If you're not,
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you, Jeff.
and I'll take some of those royalties too. No, yeah, I think it was great, and I think people that are maybe not on the inside, don't have a book, or haven't taken the step to publish something. They might not understand that those emails, those messages are the things authors live for. You don't write your life story and sell it for $2.99 on Amazon thinking, I'm going to get rich. All I need is 1 million people to buy this and I'll be rich.
Right.
You want to spread the idea. You want to share hope with people. And I think most authors who aren't deluded understand that this is why you would publish a book, to spread an idea. And yeah, you can make decent money at it, but really there are better ways to make money. And so it's about giving. And so when somebody, emails you and says, this changed my life, or this, or they're using a term that you made up or a phrase that you coined, it is extremely rewarding. And I know your heart, and I know that's why you did this. And so it's cool to see that kind of fruit. And I think the fact that you built the community and then you gave people an excuse to talk about it was really cool. So the third thing that you did really well was you not only created a community, you drilled it down to ambassadors, and then you rewarded them. So rewarding your ambassadors, rewarding your sneezers, your people who are going to go tell the world about your message, rewarding them is really important. And I see people, they'll build a community, but then they won't leverage it, or they'll get people talking about it, but they won't, incentivize that or try to lead that in some way. And the reality is, I've worked with enough of these teams for different projects, advocate type, marketing campaigns, and these people want to be told what to do. Not all the time, but if you've given to them, which you definitely did, it's okay to ask and then have some rewards for people, who sign up for that program. And your ambassador program is awesome. I mean, it's like, be Pat's best friend, basically. You come and sleep on his couch and, eat his popcorn. No, but I mean, you're offering exclusive content to people, advanced content, really neat stuff. So those are the 3 things that you did well, and I think that you can and should do some variation of those in every launch. Build a community, create some kind of event, whether that's what you did here or just really an event. My definition of an event is having a bunch of stuff happen all at once. So getting a bunch of people talking about it on Twitter is an event. Guest posting on 10 different blogs that all have over 100,000 readers, that's an event. And the example that I often point to is Tim Ferriss. Like, he does a ton of stuff in a short amount of time, and it creates this huge long tail effect for years to come, where his books just continue to sell and sell and sell. And he's doing stuff in addition to that. But I mean, he's the master of really hyper focusing on a short amount of time and getting a huge return from that. And that's the power of an event.
Yep.
And then rewarding people for being a part of your team. Those 3 things are great.
Cool. Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Now on to the juicy part where I'm going to have all that self-esteem come right back down to where it was, if not lower. Just kidding.
Yeah, no. So I've got 2 more categories. So that's what you did well. Then I want to talk about what you should have done, and then I want to talk about what you could have done, and then it might be fun to dialogue a little bit about that, because I'm learning too. And I just met with VP of marketing for a pretty large publisher this morning. And just picking his brain, like, how did this book become a bestseller, and what happened here? Mm-hmm. And nobody knows, man. Like, there's no formula. There are things that seem to work more often than not. But even when you have a huge platform and people love you, sometimes there's just an it factor, and people go, I don't know how this happened, but we think this and this led to this, and that thing over there, that didn't work at all. So it's just interesting. Mm-hmm. Not to say that there aren't best practices. There certainly are, and we're going to highlight, we've already highlighted some of those, and I'm going to talk about some things that are pretty consistently always a good idea, and things to consider for your next launch.
Cool.
Okay. So what you should have done, first of all, and some of this, is just kind of depends on comfort and choices, but you have to understand that there's an opportunity cost for some of those choices. What I think you should have done is you should have used email more. I don't remember getting more than 1 or 2 messages about the book itself. I remember getting a few teasers leading up to the book, but I don't remember getting a lot after that. And for those who are listening who aren't familiar with Tim Grahl, he is a great resource. Tim kind of wears 2 hats. One, he has this website called Outthinkgroup.com. First of all, he represents a lot of big name business authors like Dan Pink, but then he also, through his blog and newsletters, offers resources to independent and up and coming authors. And I was talking to him recently, and he said he doesn't put much stock in a lot of things, and he's launched lots of bestsellers and worked with big name clients. And I said, like, when you break it down, what do you got to do to get a book to sell? And he said, send a lot of email and give parts of the book away, and get other people to talk about it. So if you have an email newsletter, it means talking about the book more than just once. Encouraging people to buy. It feels annoying to you, but people miss that all the time. I mean, I don't know how many books come out, every month where I go, oh yeah, I need to get that. It requires a couple of triggers for me to get that. Anyway, he did this study with his own self-published ebook. And it's a paperback too. And he realized every time he sent an email to his list, people bought the book. Like, they never didn't buy the book, and it was always the same unsubscribe rate. It was always a consistent open rate. Like, he didn't see his numbers go down, which is that fear that we have, where if I hit my list too hard or if I blog too much, I'm going to make everybody mad. And you know your audience better than anybody, Pat. But right. I've really taken that to heart and tried to email with this last book launch, tried to email my readers more than I feel comfortable with, and I've not seen any sort of backlash. And people often are thanking me, saying, "Oh man, I forgot about this. I wanted to grab it." Anyway, that's the first thing that I would recommend that you do next time is, use email a little bit more around the launch of the book to get people excited about it, and then get people to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I didn't use email probably as much as I could have. I'm very sensitive to my email list, of course, as a lot of people know. But I have gotten comments from people who have said, you can email me a little bit more, wow. And so that's a good/bad sign. But it's good as far as where I can go. Now, I remember hearing this from Derek. He said, you know what? He doesn't sell stuff very often, but when he does whatever it takes to make sure it gets in front of everybody's eyes, because it's it's something good that you finally came up with. You want to get it in front of people, and if that takes sending more emails than normal, then that's what you have to do. But if you have something that is of value that can change people's lives or help them out in one way or another, I mean, you shouldn't not do that. And I do have to take that advice, and I think everybody out there should listen to that too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and something that I've learned from Derek is when you're going to sell, and when you're going to give. And it's not to say that like you're like coercing people into buying something, but the last thing you want to do is like, have this newsletter that's like, random anecdote, helpful tip, blah, 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 PS buy my book. If the point of that email is to get people to buy the book, then just say, hey, this is about buying my book. If you're not interested, delete this. But if you are, read on and tell them a bunch of reasons to go buy your book. And I've tried to take that to heart, and I've applied that. And again, when you're writing something that's near and dear to your heart that you know is going to be helpful to people, and people know, like, and trust you, they're not gonna be mad because they want what you have, and a book is just another example of the content that you're creating. So I would have used more email. That's the first thing that you should have done, or that you should do next time. The second thing is, and I mentioned this earlier, is you should have. I mean, it's kind of a yes, but because you did this to an extreme, and you asked a question about this. But you should have given more of the book away in different forms. But I don't know if you should have given away the whole audiobook.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I did give my ambassadors all the different versions of the book, so that whether they had purchased it already or not, there was no excuse not to read it. They were given it for free, from EPUB to all of them, .mobi, whatever, PDF right. Also.
So here's what I mean by this. You should have given away a free excerpt. One place. You should have guest posted somewhere else, which would have been like, half of a chapter or something. You should have taken chunks of the book and repurposed them into content that you gave away in different forms through guest posts. Maybe you read something on the podcast. A downloadable PDF chapter. I know that
This is to everybody, not the ambassadors, but for the public.
This is to people that are going to buy your book.
Yeah, I did not do that.
Yeah, and
I could have taken snippets of the videos that were,
snippets of the snippets, man.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean. But yeah, I mean, parts of the really important moments in each of the interviews that were done. I mean, totally, I didn't do that.
Yep.
That's a great idea.
And you obviously weren't. Most people are afraid of giving away the farm. Giving away too much. And you obviously weren't afraid of that because you gave away the whole audiobook to anybody. And I think that 8,000 people downloaded that. I think that may have cannibalized your sales a little bit because some people go, man, an audiobook is usually $20-$30 and I just got this for free. I'm sure some people turned around and bought the $3 or $4 ebook, but some people just go, no, I got it for free. I think what I've seen work really well is giving away anywhere from 25 to 40% of the book. Well, 10 to 40%, but the really generous, area is a quarter to a third of the book. Mm-hmm. You see people go, wow, you're giving away a huge chunk. Giving away one chapter is sort of, the thing that everybody does. So that's kind of boring. Giving away 2 chapters is nice. Giving away a good chunk of the book, like almost half through various forms is really, really good because what it's going to do is it's going to clarify and crystallize for people who aren't sure if they should buy the book. They're not going to read 40% of your book if they're not interested in buying it. And once they get to that mark, they're in. They want the other 60%. Mm-hmm. And so once they get to that mark, they're either totally in or they go, this is not for me. And that's good because you don't want people buying your book that aren't going to like it. That won't be good. So giving away a lot of it for free is a great way to build trust with people, help them see that you're not trying to scam them or something, and it's going to lead to more sales. So that's the second thing you should have done is give away, different parts of the book, different excerpts in different formats. And I mean, an easy thing that you could have done is just blog the first chapter, or given away a couple of chapters, or videos or something, and posted them on other blogs that you've got relationships with.
Yeah, totally. Got it.
The last thing, and I know that this wasn't really possible for this project, but I still think it's important to note, I wouldn't have launched with Snippet. I would have launched with Amazon. And the reason for that is there's just, Snippet's a new thing. It's cool. It's a neat format. And man, it's a beautiful reading app. I haven't seen anything like it. I did not know about it before your project, but it's a beautiful thing. But Snippet is an app, and it's not really like this huge online bookstore like Amazon is. And when you drive everybody to Amazon, and we talked about this before, and you get a ton of sales in a short amount of time, cool stuff starts to happen. That Amazon referral engine starts working. You start ranking more highly, for various searches. They start recommending you via email, and all kinds of neat stuff can happen. I've seen it happen where people that have never read my blog, never heard of me, have bought my books because of Amazon, because I've climbed the the bestseller ranks through that, and lots of other people have experienced similar things.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that, and I knew I was giving myself a little bit of a crutch by launching on this brand new platform that had nobody. I mean, I was by far, and I still am, the number one author on that platform. I think there's over 3,000 copies. The next highest one is in the 200 or 300. But I wanted to experiment, like we talked about earlier, and I thought it'd be cool to be one of the first authors of this platform. But yes, I definitely believe that if I had just launched on Amazon first, those 3,000 people would have helped boost the rankings of the book on Amazon to a point where once you get to the top 100, cool things start to happen automatically. And I was getting there without. When I launched on Amazon after I had launched on Snippet, I was close to that point, but I could have easily broken it if I'd started on Amazon.
Yeah, and I think and I totally get that, and I think I mean it was a risk. You knew it was a risk, and you took it anyway, and that's why it's an experiment. But I want to be clear about the opportunity cost. I'm not sure that we're just talking about 3,000 people, because we know that 3,000 people went, they got the Snippet app, and then they downloaded your book. I think it's a lot easier to get more people to go to Amazon and click their one-click buy, and it automatically downloads to their ebook or reader or Kindle or whatever. And so you might have had a lot more than 3,000 sales.
I definitely think so.
So,
but the Snippet app did allow me to tell my story in the way that I wanted to tell it, and that was the main reason why I took it.
Absolutely.
But I totally get where you're coming from. And my next book that I'm working on will be primarily text only, obviously, and it will be launched first on Amazon.
Cool. Yeah, I mean that'll be neat to see. I mean you'll be able to compare and see what does better. So you want to move on to what you could have done and maybe could still do.
Sure.
Okay. So first of all, this is, because this book, not every book is such a personal experience of your life, but also lots of people can relate to it, and your book does that. And so what's really cool to do with a book of this, with content of this nature, is to encourage study groups. I don't know if you've played around with that yet, but you've done a great job of building a community. You could convert some of that community. You've done it with your ambassador program. You could take those guys, or you could go back to your Facebook group and say, hey, let's go through the book together, and you guys can form your own little study groups or whatever, and we're just gonna, I don't know, maybe you make yourself available, maybe you do like a monthly call or something, but you encourage people to get together, read it, and talk about it. And this, I think, is really how great books spread. Not people just tweeting about it, but folks sitting down over dinner or coffee and going, man, I just read this book, or I just read this line in this book, and it's really speaking to me. I still think that the number one way that, and I'm not the only one who thinks this, Jonah Berger's done a ton of research on this, the number one way that great ideas spread, especially books, is through word of mouth.
Right. No, I totally agree, and I think that's a great strategy. I'm remembering, gosh, I can't remember what book I read it from. It might have been, or I might have heard it from Malcolm Gladwell in one of his books, but it was about how the book Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood became so popular. And it was because these women would get together and just talk about this, whatever they were reading in the book together. It wasn't because of any real marketing strategy. It was just the power of the people and spreading the word based on these little groups that people formed.
Yeah, that was the tipping point. Yeah, and it was sort of accidental, but once you realize something like that's happening, you can encourage it and see even greater response. So I would have created study groups. You can still do that. You can still encourage it and make yourself maybe available to them in some way. Another thing that I think you could do and can still do is create ancillary programs. And I'm trying to think of it like a non-snobbish way to put that, but I'm too snobby. Like create other excuses to talk about the book. So I have a friend who's walking me through my book launch. And what we're doing is we're not just doing the big, like, hey, everybody go buy my book this week. And then after that week's over, well, back to business. We're continuing to talk about it. And one of the ways that I'm continuing to talk about it without browbeating people is to find excuses to talk about, not the main topic, but like other related topics that are associated with the book. So like what happens with any book, Pat, is people see the cover or the title and they go, that's for me or that's not for me. And as we know, no one book is just about one thing. And as authors, we're often surprised by the words that we write and how they actually affect our audience. And so your job is to find lots of different ways to talk about the same material where it will apply to different niche audiences and different demographics. For example, with your book, you can take the entrepreneur route, totally, but then you can also take this is going to speak to anybody who is or has been unemployed and feels like they're kind of between jobs. But then you could also talk about family and how do you deal as a man with being able to support your family and, not being employed and what you were forced to do, in that space. And it's not just what you did, it's how you felt. Anyway, as you know, there's lots of different ways to talk about it, which you do in the book. And you can create programs and products, both paid and unpaid. And I mean, the unpaid is the way that you get people to buy more books. But basically, you could do a series, you could do an email drip campaign, a free course or something, or you can just do a series on your blog or through your newsletter, or even on like Facebook or something, and just say, for the next 5 days or the next 4 weeks, we're gonna talk about this, and it's a very specific topic, like the 5 things that you need to do when you lose your job. The 5 things that you need to do every day or something, because that's an issue, right? Schedule. What do I do when I don't have a job?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
that's a great idea.
That's an example, and that's also an example of how you take a book and leverage it into an entire business, where you're not just trying to sell a million, $5 ebooks, but where you can create conversations that lead to even paid products and events and different things, where you're basically providing the same content, but you're packaging it differently, and people are willing to pay at different price points for that.
That's really smart. So thinking about a book perhaps as not just, itself as a book, but as a starting point for other things that can spring out of it.
Okay, so that's what you could have done. The last thing could have / should have, still can do, is just keep talking about it. And this is it's kind of the hardest thing for a creative person to do, because you want to get on to the next project, but it is the best way that you can serve your audience. Because, gosh, you mentioned the tipping point. I read that like last year,
Mm-hmm.
I'm always late to the game on like big phenomenon, type things. And a lot of people are, like people read books not the same way that they go see go see movies, where it's like, what, that came out a month ago. You haven't read it yet? What's your problem?
Right.
Like, that's the way we treat movies that we want to see. But books that we want to read, it's like, yeah, that's been on my reading list for 2.5 years, and I'll get to it eventually. And so when you keep talking about it in ways that isn't like, go buy my book, but where you just mention it or link to the page, or, Tim Ferriss does a good job where he will, include blog posts where readers have sent him tips or things, ways that his books have changed their lives, and he'll highlight them.
Yeah.
Chris Guillebeau does the same thing. He takes his tribe and he champions these people who are his readers and customers and followers, and that's just another excuse to talk about the book and show that it is making an impact. And if you haven't picked it up yet, you really should, because I wrote this to change your life. And just because it launched a few months ago doesn't mean that it still can't be very helpful to you.
Yeah, I mean, I could do that. I mean, I sort of championed Justin here earlier, who talked about Let Go Day. I can have that be something that's more regular, or highlight them, get them on the show and start talking about it, and things like that. So yeah, I love that idea too.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome, Jeff.
So, that's it. You asked about the audiobook giveaway. I'd maybe experiment with giving away a chunk of it, but not giving away the whole thing, and see if that would have led to more sales. If you were going to give it away, I would have recommended doing something where you could have captured people's emails in exchange for the giveaway, so that you could have then followed up in a week and said, hey, if you like it, 1, go leave a review, and 2, consider buying the ebook if you like to, hold something in your hands, even if it's a Kindle.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think you can give away a lot. I think you should give away through different formats and different things, because it's going to connect with people differently. And then, I would have maybe asked a little bit more via email and encouraged people to buy. But overall, I mean, gosh, you changed thousands of people's lives, and this is a great thing to build on.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Jeff, thank you for all the advice and the inspiration. And I'd love to give you a chance really quick, or not a chance, but the opportunity, just to talk about your new book, because I think it's awesome. I haven't read it yet, but it's just sounds great. I mean, it's such a good idea to write a book about this. It's so important, I think. And also talk a little bit about how, what you're doing to promote it, besides getting on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't it be great if I had this book about, how to launch your book, because this would be like the perfect segue into that.
Right.
But I, like you, Pat, feel called to, share my message, the way that I feel called to share it. And if there's, if it's the best marketing decision, great. And if not, well, I'm still going to do this because part of the reason I write books is because it's a way that I, express another side of my craft. Anyway, the new book is called The In Between, and it is a book about that space, kind of like what happens after a let go incident, and it's not just about employment, but it's about what life is like, or what life should be like in between the big moments. So I argue in the book that most of life is not made up of big moments, but small moments. And there's this great Annie Dillard quote where she says, how we spend our days is how we spend our lives. And I realized when I was writing this book that I was spending a lot of my time waiting for something to happen, waiting for life to happen instead of just living. And so I explore themes like parenthood, being a husband, vocation, finding the right career for me, and all of those moments leading up to those big moments, those epiphanies that I was waiting for. And I realized the best part of those journeys wasn't necessarily getting there. It was the person I was becoming as I was struggling and hustling and failing and learning through that process. And if I didn't have that process, when I was able to become a full-time writer or a dad or a husband or whatever, I wouldn't know what to do with it, and I wouldn't appreciate it had I not gone through that journey. And so the In-Between is about that, and it's going to help folks learn to be more present to where they are, live more in the moment, and really embrace the slower times in life and realize that there's an extraordinary nature in those ordinary times.
I love that. That's so important, I think, because I think a lot of people, especially those listening to the show, are waiting for that next big thing, and life is happening right now. You don't want to miss out on it, for sure. So I definitely recommend picking up your book. Jeff, where can we go get it?
Well, you can go to inbetweenbook.com and you can download the first 60 pages for free there.
There's a marketing strategy.
Yeah. And if you like it, there's places to buy it on there. And I'm really proud of the book trailer. So that's on there too. You can go check it out. And it's available wherever fine books are sold.
Awesome. And how's the promotion going?
It's going great. So I mentioned earlier, we're doing not just the big launch. So, something that I learned, since we last talked, is the importance of that plodding along, keep talking about it, keep finding different excuses to talk about it. I'm doing what's called a layered launch approach, where I had a big push for pre-orders, had a big push for get the book the first week it comes out, and now we're going into the third phase, which includes publicity, speaking events, and I'm doing some series on my blog and working with some other bloggers to create some resources that we'll give away for free that are basically based around the theme of the book, and we'll be sharing those in ways to help people and drive interest back to the book.
Awesome, Jeff. Well, I'll be following along, and I hope everyone else listening will too. So definitely check that out, inbetweenbook.com. Is that correct?
Yep.
Awesome. And of course, you can check out Jeff at, where would you like people to go if they want to find out more about you beyond the book?
Sure. They can go to my blog, goinswriter.com, and I have a large, a good-sized community of writers and aspiring authors, and I encourage folks and share lots of my journey of how I became a writer and the things that I continue to learn there. And that's goinswriter.com with a G, like coins, but with a G.
Got it. Awesome, Jeff. Thank you so much. This podcast, the first half plus the second half, totally awesome, pure gold. I think people are going to love it. And, if you're listening, head on over to the show notes. I'll mention the link right after I let Jeff go here. And, tell us what you think. And, Jeff, just all the best to you. Best of luck with the launch of this book and all of your future books. And I'd love to have you back on in the future.
Thanks, Pat. It was a pleasure.
All right, take care. All right, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Jeff Goins from goinswriter.com. You can check out his new book, The In-Between. You can get it there and also on Amazon, of course, as well. And I mean, I hope you enjoy that episode. It was a little bit different. It was cut up in two pieces with 2 months in between, and I hope you got a lot out of it. For those of you who are writing books or are going to write a book, I know this is going to be extremely helpful for you. And really the best piece of advice I could give you from this point forward is just take action. And that's it. So take action and go to the show notes and back on the blog. You can head on over to smartpassiveincome.com/session79 to leave a comment, get all the links and resources that were mentioned on the show as well. And I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, and I'll see you in episode 80.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
More people dream about building their own business and being their own boss rather than retiring early. But a majority of them never even take the first steps to register the business. Why? Because starting a business can feel overwhelming. With legal forms, paperwork, finances, it's a lot. And that's where Taylor Brands comes in. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal and business assets separate from day one. And from there, you can get access to everything you need to get off the ground, from legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, our listeners get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. Just head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands. Hey there, quick pause here because I have to tell you about a tool that completely transforms the podcasting workflow, Riverside. I get it. I used to juggle multiple platforms just to record one podcast episode. It was exhausting. Zoom for recording, Audacity for editing, and then a bunch of different apps just to create clips and social posts. I've tried other ones as well. They were okay, but they were clunky and super time-consuming. That's where Riverside has massively helped. I can do it all in one place: recording, editing, repurposing, one platform, one streamlined flow. I just log in, record with my guests no matter where they are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video all in one. And get this, even if your Wi-Fi glitches, Riverside records locally on your device so everything sounds and looks crystal clear. But here's my favorite feature, Riverside's AI editing tool. You can remove silences and filler words with just one click. Hours saved. With Magic Clips, Riverside also automatically finds the best moments and turns them into ready-to-post videos for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, all without the extra editing. So if you're looking to level up your production quality and simplify your workflow, go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. It's built by creators for creators, and I think you're going to love it.